Most people don't realize they're not just witnessing reality. They're sculpting it moment by moment simply by being aware. But here's the secret almost no one has ever taught you. Reality is not out there waiting to be found. It is waiting to be observed into being. And that changes everything. Every decision you've made, every experience you've had, every breakthrough or heartbreak. They didn't just happen randomly. They unfolded because of the frequency you were holding and where your attention was focused. Not once, but constantly. Now, you might be wondering, what does that even mean? Let's step beyond the veil of the ordinary for a moment. At the smallest level of existence, we enter the quantum world, a place where things behave in ways that defy common sense. Here, particles don't really exist as things. They exist as waves of potential, infinite possibilities, until, and this is the key, someone observes them. This is the foundation of the observer effect in quantum physics. It's not a theory, it's a proven principle. When a conscious observer focuses their awareness on a quantum system, the wave of potential collapses into one specific outcome. One particle, one location, one choice out of an ocean of infinite options. But what if that same mechanism is operating in your everyday life? What if your focus, your emotional attention, is collapsing realities around you all the time? The question then becomes, are you observing intentionally or accidentally? Here's where this gets profound. The observer effect is not just something that happens in a physics lab. It's happening inside your relationships, inside your bank account, inside your body. Because your attention is not neutral, it carries a vibration, and that vibration is a command to the field. Let me say this again clearly. Your observation is a creation tool, not passive, not random, deliberate. This explains why you may have tried affirmations, visualizations, vision boards, and yet things didn't shift. Because you were observing with doubt, or with lack, or with desperation. You were looking at what you wanted, but with the frequency of not having it. And the field, which is a mirror of consciousness, gave you more of that lack, not because you were wrong, but because it is responsive and not selective. It doesn't filter, it reflects. You see, this is where quantum science meets spiritual law. Ancient wisdom has said it in many ways. As within, so without. What you seek is seeking you. You don't get what you want. You get what you are. All of it points to the same truth. Your inner state is always painting the outer canvas. Let's bring this down to something more tangible. Every single time you focus your energy on a problem and with emotion, you reinforce it. You observe it. You recollapse it. That pattern becomes a loop. The same emotions lead to the same behaviors. The same behaviors keep tuning you to the same frequency, and the same frequency collapses the same version of reality. This is why most people stay stuck in predictable lives, not because they're lazy or unworthy, but because they're unconsciously observing the same script over and over again. Now imagine this. What if you could stop being an unconscious observer and start being a deliberate one? What if, instead of reacting to what is, you trained your mind and body to emotionally embody what could be? That's not fantasy. That's quantum alignment. It's not about trying to manipulate matter. It's about becoming magnetically coherent with the version of life that already exists. And observing that version so consistently, so vividly, so faithfully, that the field begins to reflect it back to you. This isn't about wishful thinking. It's about vibrational precision. When your heart and mind are synchronized, when your internal state is broadcasting clarity, gratitude, peace, and power, you become a different observer. You tune into a different reality. You collapse a different world. And here's the part that's so often missed. You don't have to fix your current life first. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You simply need to start observing something new, from the inside out. So ask yourself, what version of life are you observing right now? Are you seeing what is, or tuning into what wants to be? Because the field isn't waiting for better circumstances. It's waiting for a better observer. By now, something in you has already started to shift. not just intellectually, vibrationally. You're no longer looking at life as something fixed, but as something responsive. And with that realization comes a deeper responsibility to become the kind of observer the universe can respond to with coherence. Because here's the truth. You don't observe with your eyes. You observe with your entire being, your focus, your emotions, your expectations, your inner atmosphere. And the quantum field, with this invisible sea of vibrating potential, doesn't respond to your eyes. It responds to your energy. We tend to believe that seeing is believing, but quantum mechanics turns that upside down. At the subatomic level, it's believing and emotionally expecting that causes the seeing. It is your internal frequency that determines which version of the world shows up. Think of the universe not as a machine, but as a mirror. One that doesn't reflect what you wish for, but what you broadcast. Now let's talk about broadcasting. The most powerful transmission center in your body is not your brain, it's your heart. According to research from the HeartMath Institute, the electromagnetic field generated by the heart is up to 5,000 times stronger than that of the brain. Not only that, it extends several feet beyond your body. And here's the quantum bridge. This heart field interacts with the field of energy around you. It becomes the signature you send out into the invisible. And when the heart and brain are in coherence, meaning your emotions and your thoughts are in alignment, you create what could be called a clear signal, a steady frequency, a tuned observer. But when your thoughts say one thing, I'm abundant, I'm loved, I'm safe, and your emotions vibrate fear, doubt, or lack, your signal becomes fragmented. The field doesn't know what to mirror back, because your observation is confused. This is why the same thought, repeated without emotion, is powerless. It doesn't collapse anything. It doesn't reach the quantum layer. It's like trying to tune into a radio station, but the antenna is disconnected. The power isn't in the words. It's in the vibration beneath the words. This is the science behind what mystics have always taught. When Neville Goddard spoke of the feeling of the wish fulfilled, he was teaching quantum observation. He was saying, become the observer who is so fused with your desired state that you can no longer tell the difference between imagination and reality. And when you do that, reality shifts. Let's make this even more practical. Imagine you wake up in the morning and before even getting out of bed, your mind starts scanning for problems. You think about bills, conversations, doubts. The moment you emotionally engage with those thoughts, you're already tuning into the version of reality that matches them. And your body, your nervous system, doesn't know the difference between imagined threat and real danger. So it sends stress signals. It floods with cortisol. Your breath gets shallow. Your frequency collapses into survival. And survival is blind to possibility. But now imagine this instead. You wake up, take a deep breath, and place your hand over your heart. You begin to generate the feeling of gratitude, not for something that already happened, but for something that you're choosing to observe into existence. You feel peace for no reason. You embody trust without external evidence. This is quantum alignment in action. And here's the profound secret. When your nervous system feels safe, your frequency opens. And when your frequency opens, the field can finally reflect back a version of reality that matches your deepest desire, not your deepest fear. In that moment, you stop reacting to the world and begin collapsing a new one. Most people live backwards. They wait for life to change so they can feel better. But the field doesn't work that way. It doesn't deliver based on hope. It responds based on coherence. You don't wait for clarity to arrive. You become clear. You don't wait for love to appear. You embody love. You don't wait for abundance to show up. You tune into it. And the moment you do, you become a new observer. One who is not reacting to what has been, but one who is choosing what now becomes. Because remember, the quantum field holds every possibility, but it's your presence, your emotion, your attention that decides which one becomes real. So the question is not, why hasn't it happened yet? The question is, Am I in emotional coherence with the version of reality I want to observe? Not just once, not just during meditation, but consistently enough to collapse it into your timeline. Because the more consistently you observe from alignment, the faster the field can catch up to your vibration. By now, the veil is thinner. You're no longer just someone learning about the quantum field. You're someone beginning to remember that you are the field, embodied. But this realization leads to the next level of truth. You can't visit alignment. You must become it. And how do we become it? Through repetition. Not just of thoughts, but of observation. Because the reality you live is a reflection of the identity you've rehearsed, consciously or not. Every time you observe the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same internal story, you're rehearsing a version of self. You're installing a frequency. And the quantum field, ever responsive, ever neutral, simply reflects that back. You are the observer, but you're also the observed. And in the loop between the two, a timeline is born. Let's take an example. Someone says, "I always struggle with money," not just once, but daily, repeatedly, emotionally. They're not just stating an observation, they're training the field. They're stabilizing an identity. And the field doesn't know the difference between a preference and a proclamation. It mirrors what is declared vibrationally. So even if that person writes affirmations like "I'm abundant," if their dominant observation is rooted in lack, the field listens to the frequency, not the words. And that's the paradox. You don't get what you ask for. You get what you are consistently being. Neuroscience confirms this too. Studies on neuroplasticity show that repeated thoughts and emotions wire together in the brain. Over time, they become automatic. They become default identity. And the body, always listening, begins to feel those emotions on its own, even without external stimulus. This is how people get stuck. Not because they lack power, but because they lack conscious repetition. You can't just shift for 5 minutes and expect a lifetime of patterning to collapse. You must install the new self like software, with precision, with clarity, with emotion. That's how timelines shift. Now here's the empowering truth. Your future is already alive in the field, not as fantasy, but as frequency. There's already a version of you who is grounded, joyful, abundant, clear. And that version exists in a different energetic code. So the question becomes, what would that version observe? What would they feel, think, choose, over and over again? This isn't about pretending. It's about embodying. It's not fake it till you make it. It's vibrate it until you become it. Because repeated observation creates stability in the field, and the field begins to recognize you, not as someone wishing, but as someone remembering. You're no longer chasing the dream. You're tuning into the version of you who never lost it. This is where quantum physics meets spiritual discipline. Observation isn't passive. It's not just awareness. It's active vibrational instruction. And when done with consistency, observation becomes identity. And identity becomes your timeline. This is why transformation feels invisible at first, because the outer world lags. But the field is already shifting in response to your new coherence. You don't see the evidence immediately, but you feel the new self coming online. You start responding differently. Your emotions stabilize. Your cravings for validation soften. Your clarity sharpens. That's the proof. The outer is just the echo. The inner is the origin. And here's something beautiful. The more you live as your future self now, the less you seek signs. Because you are the sign. You become the vibration that others feel. You become the attractor, not the seeker. And every time you choose that identity again, in thought, in feeling, in action, you reinforce the signal. This is how timelines collapse. Not with force, with frequency. So ask yourself, what story am I rehearsing? What emotions am I stabilizing? What reality am I continuously observing? Not with my eyes, but with my energy. Because the quantum field is not waiting for a perfect version of you. It's waiting for a consistent version of you. The more you try to make something happen, the more you delay it. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because your frequency reveals that you don't yet trust it. The observer effect is often misunderstood. It's not just the act of focusing that collapses the quantum wave. It's how you focus, and more importantly, who you are being as you do it. A frantic observer emits noise into the field. An attached observer, desperate for outcome, clinging to result, distorts the signal. Their attention is scattered by fear, their intention polluted by expectation. But a calm observer, a coherent, surrendered observer, they don't just collapse potential, they accelerate it. Because the field isn't magnetized by force, it's magnetized by resonance. And resonance is clean, it's not desperate. It vibrates with "I already am," not "I hope I will be." Let's break this down scientifically and spiritually. In quantum physics, the observer collapses a wave function, turning a cloud of infinite probabilities into a single event. But here's what rarely gets said. The field is always mirroring not just your observation, but the emotional tone behind that observation. That means, when you observe with tension, fear, and urgency, the field mirrors back experiences that match tension, fear, and urgency. It's not punishing you. It's simply echoing you. This is where surrender becomes not just a spiritual virtue, but a quantum strategy. Surrender doesn't mean inaction. It means clear intention without emotional interference. It means your desire is known, and now you let the field do its part. Because forcing is interference. Overthinking is interference. Doubt is interference. When you learn to observe without needing, you emit coherence. You become a clean signal. And the cleaner the signal, the faster the collapse. It's like tuning a radio. If you're on the edge of two frequencies, static, noise, confusion. But when you align fully with one station, the signal becomes crystal clear, and reality flows accordingly. Joe Dispenza often says, "The moment you feel lack, you're back in the old self." That's not just poetic, it's quantum accuracy. Because the moment you feel that you don't yet have, your frequency separates you from the thing you're asking for. Now, let's make this personal. Think of the last time you wanted something so badly it consumed you. You couldn't stop thinking about it, visualizing it, checking for signs, wondering if it's working. That wasn't observation. That was control. That was energetic gripping. And the field doesn't respond well to being controlled. Now remember a time when you were in peace. You wanted something, but you knew it was already yours. You felt it. You didn't need it. You didn't beg the field for signs. You trusted the unfolding. And then, it came. Unexpectedly, smoothly, naturally. That is the power of observing without attachment. That is quantum surrender in action. You send the signal. You become the signal. And then you let go of the outcome. Because the version of you that already has it isn't wondering whether it's coming. That version is living it. This is why the observer effect is not just a scientific phenomenon. It's a spiritual path. You are learning to be with the unknown. To walk in mystery without needing guarantees. To love the future so much that you no longer obsess over it. Because you know the field is always listening, and you've become someone worth responding to. Let's land this with a powerful truth. The more you try, the more you delay. The more you trust, the more you align. And the more you align, the faster you collapse the life that's already waiting. The observer effect isn't just about attention. It's about energy. It's about becoming a vibrational match. And then letting go, so the field can do what it's designed to do. Respond. You are not separate from the field. You are not begging for a gift. You are commanding a frequency. And that frequency becomes reality, not through your effort, but through your embodiment. So the next time you observe your vision, do it with reverence, do it with clarity, and then let it go. Because the version of you that already lives that life isn't looking for proof. They're living as the proof. If you are ready to shift, comment below, "I am shifting." Not as a wish, as a declaration. Every day, you're sending signals into the quantum field. Not with your words, not even with your thoughts alone, but through your entire being, through your identity, your emotions, your embodiment. This is where most people misunderstand manifestation. They think it's about sending a message out, but in truth, it's about becoming the message itself. You are the code. This block is about collapsing that realization into your bones. Because until now, you may have believed that reality responds to what you visualize or affirm or desire. But the quantum field is far more precise. It doesn't listen to what you say. It mirrors who you are. You are constantly broadcasting data, and that data becomes instructions. The way you sit, breathe, feel, think, expect. It all forms your unique vibrational signature. And that signature is the language the field responds to. Imagine walking into a room full of radio transmitters all picking up signals. The signal with the strongest frequency, the clearest tone, gets the clearest reception. That's how your field works. If your vibration is scattered, some of it in fear, some in desire, some in lack, you broadcast static, and the field doesn't know what to reflect. But when you become coherent, when your thoughts, emotions, body, and energy say the same thing, you become a precise code, a quantum command. You're not just observing anymore. You're instructing the universe to rearrange itself around your state of being. Now here's the kicker. That code can't be faked. You can't pretend to be abundant while vibrating in scarcity. You can't script affirmations from a mind full of doubt and expect the universe to be confused. The field doesn't speak English. It doesn't care about your vision board. It's reading one thing only, your vibrational consistency. And here's where it gets empowering. You can change that code in real time. Every moment you are writing and rewriting your energetic script. You do it through how you breathe, how you speak to yourself, what emotions you allow to anchor, and how deeply you remember who you are. You do it not by wishing for reality to change, but by becoming the person for whom that reality is normal. This is where practice becomes identity. You don't visualize just to see. You visualize to feel. You feel to rewire. You rewire to emit. And you emit to become. Let's bring in the science for a moment. Neuroscience tells us that neurons that fire together, wire together. When you repeat a state of gratitude, certainty, joy, coherence, you form new neural pathways. But that's not the end. Those neural patterns affect your hormonal chemistry, your electromagnetic field, your heart rate variability, all of which expand into your biofield and imprint the quantum. In other words, repetition creates resonance, and resonance becomes your new reality code. But here's where most people stop. They do the practice, but not the embodiment. They meditate in the morning and panic by lunch. They journal the vision, but doubt it by night. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Here's the truth. If the field is a mirror, you must become a steady reflection. Wobbly energy produces wobbly results. Precision, emotional, mental, and energetic, is what the quantum field responds to, because your consistency becomes your command. So how do you embody the code? You start living as if the shift already happened. You wake up and breathe like someone who is already free. You walk into rooms like someone who knows their power. You speak with the calm of someone who trusts the timeline. You treat money, love, opportunity, not like missing pieces, but like inevitable outcomes. You feel first. You believe before seeing. And most of all, you stop needing proof because you are becoming the proof. The most magnetic people you've ever met? They aren't chasing anything. They're aligned. They've collapsed into their center, and the field reorganizes around them, effortlessly. This is your next level. Becoming the code. Not reciting it, not memorizing it, being it. And here's the paradox. When you truly become it, you no longer need to control the outcome. The field takes over. And because you're now encoded with precision, it knows exactly what to deliver and when. So let's ask a new question. What is your energy telling the field right now? Is it aligned? Is it coherent? Or is it still broadcasting hesitation? Because the field is not waiting for your perfect mood or your best day. It's waiting for your coherence. And coherence begins the moment you decide to become the code. Let that be now. There comes a moment on the quantum journey when you stop reaching. You stop striving. You stop chasing some distant timeline as if it were separate from you. And realize something breathtaking. What you desire is already entangled with you. The only thing that ever separated you from it was the vibration of trying. In quantum mechanics, time is not linear. Past, present, and future are superpositions, all existing in probability until observed. That means your future isn't waiting down the road. It's here, right now, vibrating in a higher dimension, waiting to be tuned into, not through force, not through effort, but through frequency alignment. This changes everything, because instead of running toward something, you become still, and your frequency brings it to you. You don't chase the timeline.